Ooh, I can already feel the keyboard warriors are at the ready in the comments section, and they are ready to just start hounding on me for my opinions on this. Yeah, here's the deal, guys. If you were not planning on watching this movie, and if you're just going to trash on it for the sake of trashing on it without even watching it, you guys have no room to talk. But as a critic, I have to be objective with everything, so keep an open mind. Snow White is probably one of the most controversial Disney live-action remakes before its release ever. This was reportedly directed by Marc Webb. I feel like these are false allegations at this point. It stars Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. And here, I'm going to keep their politics and their beliefs out of it. This is a review. It's not necessarily a judge on people's characters. I might dig into one of them in a little bit, but it has nothing to do with their politics. Because again, this is a review show, and as someone who's been a fan of this person, I feel like their ego needs a serious rain check. Okay, story, as if you guys weren't familiar with it already. Snow White is a beautiful young woman who takes refuge in the forest in the house of the seven dwarves to hide from her evil stepmother, the Wicked Queen. The queen is jealous because she wants to be known as the fairest of them all, and Snow White's beauty surpasses her own according to her cursed magic mirror. Holy banana bread, the hate that this movie has been getting since its wide release in theaters is astounding. Here's some stats for you. 1.7 out of 10 average on IMDb. 8% of Google users recommend this movie. And let me get this part out of the way right now. Yes, this is another in a long line of Disney live-action remakes which show no sign of stopping, unfortunately. Because, hey, you got Lilo and Stitch coming out this Memorial Day weekend, and I'm not excited for that one either, trust me. And they also have Moana coming out next year, with The Rock reprising his role as Maui. Didn't that movie just come out? Didn't we just get Moana 2? Why do we need a remake of Moana? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because Disney wants a lot of this out of your pocket. And if you don't want to empower Disney any more than you need to, if you want to send Disney a message that we don't want these live action remakes anymore, just don't go buy a ticket to see Snow White. It's that easy. I managed to get in on a Tuesday buy one get one special, so I wasn't really empowering Disney a whole lot. $6.50 in the grand scheme of things is not a lot of money. But okay, where to begin? What did I think of this movie overall? It was fine. It exists. I will say one thing I really dug with this movie above all else. The classic moments that you remember from the original Snow White are in there. And I think in live action form, these moments are executed pretty well. And I will also admit that the songs in this movie are pretty good. That's the team of Pasek and Paul putting these songs together. You might recognize that team from Dear Evan Hansen, The Greatest Showman. If you know what those dudes are capable of, they can give you some catchy tunes. And Lindsay and I were listening to some of the songs on the drive home. I'm not gonna lie to you. The production value is certainly present here for a big budget Disney flick. But excuse me for walking into a Snow White remake with the utmost caution. Because unlike Rachel Zegler, I grew up with the Snow White and the Seven Dwarves original movie. That was the one that put Disney on the map before World War II even began. I reviewed that movie a few years ago on this channel, and you can go back and listen to my thoughts on it if you want to. I'll go ahead and leave a link at the end of the video. But I still hold that in the highest regard as one of my favorite Disney movies for this reason. Actually, two reasons. Number one, childhood nostalgia. I loved that movie growing up. And number two, it's safe to say that without Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, there would be no Disney. Point blank, that was the movie right there. So if you're expecting this movie to even come close to topping the original, you're just deluding yourself. And yes, it does follow the traditional Disney live-action remake formula. You get those moments from the original that you remember. And those moments, like I said, were really cool to see on the big screen. I never thought in a million years that I would hear Hi-Ho blaring over these big speakers in the auditorium. And sure enough, when the dwarves show up, the movie becomes a lot more fun. Just like they were in the original movie. That's what I remember the most out of the animated movie growing up. The dwarves, their distinct personalities, how they were animated, the endearment that just draws you to these seven guys. I'd like to know who's the dumbass that thought keeping the dwarves out of this remake was a good idea. I'd really like to know, because I feel like their job is definitely at stake. Because I'll be honest with you, as terrifying as Dopey might look and as nightmare-inducing as his face might be in his CGI, this movie probably would have been a lot worse if you didn't have these guys in there. And that's another huge glaring issue with this movie. You can just tell in the final edit that there were massive amounts of reshoots. All of this was done to include the 7 dwarves in this movie. Because as hard as it is to believe that Disney would do something that stupid, that was the original idea. And you can sense that that was the original idea, not just because of how the movie is edited, but because there's literally a plot line involving 7 bandits, one of whom is the main love interest for Snow White. And when you encounter these bandits and the side quests that you're carried on for a good 20 minutes of the movie, it feels like the momentum just goes to a screeching halt. I had the same problem with the Aladdin remake when that one came out. That original Aladdin movie is one of my favorite Disney movies. Perfect hour-and-a-half runtime. Didn't need to go longer than that. But when the remake came out 5-6 years ago, whenever that piece of shit came out like, you could sense that they were stretching it so thin. And this movie was definitely in danger of doing that. And keeping with the technicalities, like I said, allegedly Marc Webb directed this movie. This is the guy who brought you both Amazing Spider-Man movies. And honestly, it's such a shame to see this guy's career tank after the gloriousness that was 500 Days of Summer. Like, you know this guy can make a great movie. And he just has not been given the creative outlet to put his own flavor on anything. Because the direction of Snow White in particular and how these musical numbers are staged, like, it just felt very basic and by the number. It did not feel like Marc Webb directed this movie. It felt like Disney executives directed this. And okay, yeah, let's get into the 2 leading performances. I mentioned Rachel Zegler earlier. Look, I loved her in West Side Story. I love her in The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I think she's a really, really good performer. And in this movie, she is definitely very solid. My issue comes with her basically saying in interviews that the reason why people are going to line up to see this movie is because of her. I'm sorry, sweetheart, but at this stage of your career, you do not have the right to say that. You were great in 2 movies in your career so far. 2. I mean, that's more than I can say for a good amount of actresses on this planet, but like, it's baffling. The reason why people want to go see this movie is A, because Disney's name is on it. It's Snow White. They want to see this retelling. They want to feel that childhood nostalgia again. It's not all about you. You're the star, yeah, and you're owning every piece of the frame. Dear Lord, though. Like, you can't say that. You can't say that and not expect me to not be rubbed the wrong way. Yeah, I knew things were going to get dicey. There's a reason why I rolled up my sleeves. It's getting a little hot in here. And okay, let's get into the real thing that I hated about this movie. Gal Gadot as the evil queen. My God, was she atrocious. And I'm not just talking about the 2 musical numbers that she gets. Her singing voice does not sound great. But it's honestly a worse version of Emily Blunt in Snow White and the Huntsman, whatever that sequel was called. Because you have these slow, methodical, mundane delivery. With occasional outbursts? You don't mean to say Snow White is alive? I just could not help but bust up laughing at the ridiculousness of this performance. Again, safe to say, without proper direction, and it's not Marc Webb's fault, but Gal Gadot just did not deliver. She did not deliver. Despite everything I just said, this movie, believe it or not, has a couple of small glimmers of redeeming quality. The songs by Pasek and Paul, I feel like, are solid enough. And the moments you remember from the original Snow White are still as fresh as ever. But it falls into that Pinocchio trap, man. Because they change things towards the end of this movie just for the sake of changing things. All the while, it's Disney trying to justify this movie's existence without saying, hey, we need more of your guys' money. We don't necessarily need your money because we're a big corporation, but hey, give us some money. This is a reason to go and see this remake. Because we made some changes, okay? Even though they're surface level. And it's like, you could just watch the original and get the same amount of gist of the story. Because even the things they added didn't really feel like they added a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, did I hate this movie? I suppose not. I mean, yeah, there are some things I definitely f***ing despised. But I'm not going to sit here and say that just because of the production quality and because some of these songs are so darn good, I can't call this one of the worst movies of the year right now. I can't. As it sits right now, I'm gonna give Snow White a C-. I mean, I guess there'll be times where I'll want to watch this again, maybe for some laughs here and there. It's not a good movie. It's definitely not the most atrocious movie I've ever seen in my life. I don't think it's even near the bottom of the barrel of the worst Disney live-action remakes, if I'm being quite honest. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of Snow White down in the comments section below. Was this video any sort of catharsis for you? What is your favorite Disney live-action remake that they've come out with? Which one do you think is the absolute god-awful worst? I feel so alive being able to get in front of this camera and talk all things in the cinematic world, all things in the entertainment world. If you're new to the channel, if you've stumbled across my dumb-looking face for the first time, hit that subscribe button, tap on that thumbs up as well. We are beginning the slow but steady march to 3,000 subs over here. And I've got some catching up to do. Real life caught up with me a little bit over the past week and a half or so. I've caught Snow White now. I've got the Alto Knights to look forward to. I've got Death of a Unicorn to look forward to. There's a lot of good movies coming out soon. And I can't wait to talk about all of them with you and much, much more, friends. Y'all are the best. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence.